P. Brooks Jr. here, super excited about this edition of Breakfast with the Brookses. I'm sitting here next to the lovely light skin. She don't have on red lipstick today.
No red lipstick today.
Lipstick, right.
I'm Sheri Brooks Jr., author, speaker, relationship, and life balance coach. And it's great to be with you guys this Saturday morning. And we have special guests today.
Special guests. Come on, let's everybody give it up. A huge round of applause for our great friends, Gerald and Tanya Williamson of Married to the Ring. So, family, listen. If you've been watching Breakfast with the Brookses with the last couple of weeks, you know that we've been talking about blending. We've been talking about blending family, and we have been honored to be invited to take part in a workshop that's going to be, it's a retreat that's going to take place at India. We're going to give you plenty of information on it, but I want to talk to Gerald and Tanya a little bit about who they are, what do they do, why do they do it, and who do they do it for? So, Gerald, Tanya, welcome again. Super excited to have you guys. Talk to us, guys. Talk to us. How did y'all meet? It's funny. It's funny how they always get the same response no matter who we ask that. Like, we really want to tell them.
Tell them, Tanya?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll tell you how we met. So, right after my job loss, I took a temporary job for a property management firm. And while I was working in that office, I actually was doing an assignment. Gerald was there also as an independent contractor. We didn't have any interest at all. It was purely business, nothing out of order, out of sight. We both were currently in our first marriage. So how all of this came about was really strange and God ordained.
Yes.
Listen.
How did you go from?
Go ahead, Gerald.
Well, I was just going to say this. Yeah, when I met Tanya in the office, I was working for a company, and when I walked in, we were sitting there, and I introduced myself and everything, and I had to do business because she was handling a lot of the administration things in there. And she was just a nice, sweet person, had a very bodacious smile, and she just was very uppity. Like what I mean by that is like she just had this presence about her, and she just was the type of person, when you walk in the room, Tanya's in the room.
Yeah.
I can believe that.
Yeah, we not Tanya. Tanya didn't come in with a presence. No, not her.
No. She definitely can light up a room.
I love it.
Awesome.
I love it. Awesome. Tanya, one of the things that I know that you and I, we've talked about it, and Sheri, we've all kind of had the opportunity to get to know each other. You guys have and are in a blended family scenario. I want you to talk a little bit about your previous relationships. How many times married each side? How many kids each side?
And how long you guys been together?
And then how long you guys been together?
Okay, so I will chime in there. So this is my second marriage. And so as I mentioned earlier, I had just lost my six-figure job when I met Gerald. And I was working in a temp agency, but I also was going through a very distressful marriage. And so Gerald had nothing to do with my divorce. I had nothing to do with his divorce. We were just two independent individuals. I have two children. I have a boy and a girl. They're both adults now, a 24-year-old and a 20-year-old. And I was married, but I also had a son outside of my marriage that I had when I dropped out of college. And so there was a total of three of us, me, my son, and my daughter. But when I met Gerald, it was me, my son, my daughter, and my husband. And so the interesting part about this is that after I went through a very distressing point in my marriage, I then landed in the shelter. And Gerald and I reconnected because I knew that I met him in the temporary agency, and I knew that he had work. And so I solicited and asked him if he wouldn't mind if I would do some administrative tasks in his office. He knew nothing about my past. He didn't know I was a prior six-figure earner. He knew nothing about me. All he knew is this bubbly chick was in the office. She was helping out in the spirit of excellence. You see how I describe myself? I'm a bad chick, right? But basically, he didn't know anything about me. All he saw is he saw that I was running into some problems. And he was on the height of his career in the construction field, and he was like, look, no problem, I'll help you out, But I just did a few odds and ends for him in terms of administration.
Yes. Yeah, she came in, and me and Tanya ended up reconnecting, and I needed someone to come in and help kind of run my administration part of my business. She handled a lot of, the day-to-day stuff for me to take off me from having to try to do everything as a contractor. I'm trying to do the field work and do the administration. So I asked her, would she come in and give me a hand, and she helped me out. So, and during that time, she's very, she does everything in excellence, and she's very methodical in how she does things. And I really saw that in Tanya as a person who could help me get to the next level in the business. And then even though, and during that time, I was in a position where I was going through some challenges myself, even in my own personal life. I was married before, and, and I had went through some changes and everything. But I went through this period of time where, I was really trying to get myself back together and get myself focused as a person. And what happened is, you never know how God is going to move. You know what I'm saying? And what happened is how we connected and everything, because I was going through a tumultuous time in my own marriage. And then, and I was headed to divorce court. I'm just being straightforward. And, and I was going through the process, at this time. And you just don't know how God is going to do things and move in your life. And when I went through those challenges, it was interesting how once we went through that part and went through that process, and I end up, meeting Tanya at the time, we just was, we were just friends, just good old friends. And it wasn't nothing. It was just good old friends. And
what's crazy is I lost my job, and here it is. He lost his father.
Yes.
And it was crazy. He said, Tanya, when you come to, the office was like, when we pay tribute, I'm not a full-time employee. I'm just there for a few hours. And I go to the funeral. And it was strange because apparently the area where his father always played a role, like he didn't know I was going through all of this stuff, right, mentally. But it was just like, when I turned around, he always was there. I was like, why are you here? Like when I, where are you coming from? Where are you coming from? But he does have 3 children.
Yes.
He has a daughter that he had at the age of 18, who's 30. Mm-hmm. And he also has a 13-year-old, and he has a 21-year-old. So altogether, we have 5.
Wow. That's a lot. Let me say this real quick for those of you guys who are just jumping on. Maybe you are tuning in by replay. Here's what I want you guys to do. Please subscribe now if you're enjoying the content that we're talking about here on Breakfast with the Brookses. We're talking with the Williamsons, and I'm super excited, babe, that their situation is not abnormal.
Right.
Where you find people are coming together. They're bringing together a bunch of other people, right? And then they decide they're going to form this union or this family, and then that becomes the definition of blending.
Right. So you guys, at some point, the sparks did fly, and you guys came together. And so once that happened, so how long have you guys been together now?
As a married couple.
Well, we've been together for January will be our 7-year anniversary. So we've known each other since 2004. And we divorced. Our divorce is what was interesting, and we weren't even involved. We were friends. Our divorce came through. Mine came through April 2007. His came May 2007. It wasn't until after he was divorced that he actually pursued me.
Awesome.
Wow. One of the things that we find, guys, as coaches, and we've been talking about the different aspects of blending families. Sheri and I, it's no secret, particularly to our community, that we both were married prior to each other. in us being married prior to each other. You know, I was married for 12 years. I had a child, a son from that union. Sheri was married twice before me.
Right.
Shantae was 11, I think it was when we first met.
But we were friends.
But just like you guys, we were friends probably in a platonic relationship
for about a year.
Prior to even discovering, you know, each other.
Yeah, because I didn't like him.
Yeah, we didn't like each other at all.
Yeah, I didn't like him like that.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't like him like
it wasn't even that situation. That's a whole nother talk. I promise you. So one of the things that I'm excited is that you guys right. One of the things that I'm excited about, guys, is that you all have from your union and and I'm going to characterize it this way, from the kind of dysfunction that you guys came from, you have figured some things out and being able to come together and form something very functional and something that adds a significant amount of value to other people. And it's called Married to the Ring. And so I want you to talk to us just a little bit about it, because we're excited that coming up in November the 18th, I think it's through the 23rd, we're going to be doing an event with you guys. We've signed on to collaborate with you guys for a particular conference that you're going to do. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but I want you to talk about Married to the Ring. What is Married to the Ring? How is it helping people, and how does it help people using y'all's story?
Wow. Well, what's interesting enough is we haven't used our story yet. We're about to use our story. So what's interesting for us is Married to the Ring was birthed out of the fact that after 3 years, I want to say 3 years. First of all, the dysfunction was when we got together, our children got along well when we were dating. Use my expression, but everything broke loose the day that we actually married, meaning that no one wasn't happy. They were okay as long as we were friends. And so for 3 years, having teenagers, they really were teenagers all at the time, having teenagers, it was very difficult. So out of 3 years, the first 3 years of our marriage, we practically lived in 2 separate residences and pretended to others like it was working, but we were so not functional. We got along well, but we couldn't get the family together. And it was difficult for us. And so when we came back together this last time, 3 years ago, that's when the Lord spoke to me and said, birth Married to the Ring. And Married to the Ring was birthed out of my pain, where I could not find a place. Like you said, that my relationship is not abnormal, but everyone that I was talking to thought that I was crazy because I was seeking help, but no one would be able to relate to my story, not in the church or no one else. So we created this boxing ring. Gerald owns a construction company, created a boxing ring. We put 12 women in the ring, 12 marriages. Women just came. Oh my God, it was over 125 women. We anticipated 50 women, 125 women showed up, and everybody just was blown away because they had a venue where they could speak about issues that others wanted to shun. And so that's how Married to the Ring came about. I mean, and it's evolved into several facets because we're a multifaceted organization that focuses on building healthy relationships all together. However, this retreat, let me just say, this retreat is the cycle breaker. You know, it's the cycle breaker. You know, I never in a million years thought. I knew in January, I knew by the end of this year, there were going to be some people like you that we link up with that was going to say, listen, I got the tools and the resources that you need, specifically on blended, because we haven't built out that component. And hot diggity dag, oh my G, I just said, pass the baton onto the brook, because we're going, yes, it's sponsored by Married to the Ring. We're going to our own retreat to tell you we also need help.
I love it.
We need tools, we need resources, because we're helping so many people and we're helping so many blended families, but we still need help too.
Right.
And so
Absolutely.
Right. And that's amazing that, you guys are in a place, you've created an organization, Married to the Ring, where you're helping people, but you're able to recognize too, hey, we still need help in some areas too. And the reality is that today, in today's society, there are more and more blended families happening than traditional families, because so many people are going through divorce, because you're having so many people come together and blend. And everybody's story is different. Yep. Everybody's journey of blending is different, but there are some general components that if you can put them in place, that can help you to succeed in your blended family. I found it really interesting. You said like the first 3 years, you guys pretty much lived separately while married, trying to figure out how to blend.
Yeah.
And I think people don't really understand or don't take seriously the steps or the skills needed to be able to blend the family. It doesn't just happen automatically.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, a lot of people just try to throw everybody together and think it's going to just be roses from the beginning. And it doesn't happen that way. Very few people are able to say, we got married, we brought our families together, and everything was perfect from the very beginning. Right. That doesn't happen. And like you said, when you guys were dating, everything was cool. But when you throw in that dynamic now that you're married, this is permanent. It's like, hey, the kids are like, hold up. I mean,
it's like, wait a minute.
All right. They was cool when that was just your girlfriend, and that was just your boyfriend. But now you're talking about you serious now. Right. And I think people don't consider that stuff. And I think that breeds a lot of the issues that a lot of blended couples go through. But because we don't get educated on it, because people don't talk about it, people don't tell their stories about what they've gone through. People walk into this completely unknown. You're going into a foreign land and you have no guidance whatsoever. Absolutely. I think we were lucky because we were in a community with people that had blended before us and were able to kind of lead the way with us. Right.
And that's one of the things, Gerald, go ahead. You had something you wanted to share?
Yeah, let me share this. I'm going to tell you just from me as a father and as a husband. Here was one of my most difficult issues. Trying to share me with my wife and my children. So the battle was, my wife is supposed to be first, and then I got my children. So I was struggling because my children were drawing for my attention. All they knew before I got married, they were number one. So they were my priority. Once I got married, things shifted. They didn't understand. And to be straight truthful, one of my daughters said, I don't want a new family. Yeah. She said it. I don't want a new family. And I said, and I tried to explain to her my new position. I said, listen, Dad's going to always be there for you, but I have to follow covenant. And I had to explain that to her, how it goes. But she could not understand that and see my new position. And all she sees is my wife coming and taking her position and taking her time because she was a daddy's girl. So it was a struggle for me because I would get frustrated with my wife when I had to be there for her, and then my children are pulling on me too, and it was like trying to balance it out. And nobody taught me this. You know what I'm saying? This is something that I'm sitting here trying to wing it from what I know to the best of my ability. And it was a very tough struggle for me. And that was one of my most biggest challenges because they felt like I was alienating them as a father. They felt like I wasn't there. Yeah. So that was
Gerald, let me say this, man, as a father and as a leader in your home, that is always going to be the struggle. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you how many hundreds of people, and when I say hundreds, I'm probably being super conservative. It's probably more like thousands of people that we've worked with over the last 20 years that Sheri and I have been married. I can't tell you, when I say that what you guys are going through is becoming more normal. I can't tell you how many times we are seeing these same dynamics happen over and over again. Here's the problem, though. The problem is that nobody's talking about it. And so as a result of that, it gives you the illusion that no one else is going through this but you. So that's why you feel like, am I crazy? Right. Is this the devil? Like, what in the world is going on? Why am I being attacked? No, it is quite normal, unfortunately, because let's just do the math a little bit. If 50% on average of first marriages are ending in divorce, and more or upwards of 60% of second marriages are ending in divorce. And then upwards of 70% of third marriages are ending in divorce. Think about the odds. That's a whole lot of divorced people. And all it takes is for that divorcee or that, and we're just talking about divorces. We're not even talking about dating and that kind of stuff. All it takes is for that one person to go out and begin dealing with somebody else. And now, before you know it,
you have to blend.
You have to blend. And so if you think about how staggering those numbers are, I had a pastor in the Maryland area invited us to do a workshop. We did a blending workshop for them. And what was crazy was he said, brother, he said, I have to be honest, man, 90% of my church is blending. 90% of the marriages in our church is not a traditional first time marriage that's been, and that as overwhelming as that could sound, that sounded about right to me based upon one of the things that I'm seeing. I wrote something down, and this is one of the things that we're going to deal with on so many things we're going to deal with. We're going to talk about the conference that we're going to be doing, the Power of Covenant, with you guys later this year. But I wrote something down. How do you shift without losing direction? How do you shift without losing direction? And one of the things that we're going to deal with is teaching people, and this is going to be a really intimate setting with a bunch of couples who are trying to figure this out. How do I show up as the leader in my home, lead properly, shift where we're going without changing the direction completely?
Right.
And that's a skill set, my friend. Right. That's actually something that you work on and that you figure out, because here's the problem. If you shift and lose direction, the problem is that you're going to lose your family.
Right.
It's not if, it's when. So what you have to learn how to do is figure out where we're going and make incremental changes. Pilots call it course correction, right? There's slight little adjustments that you make along the journey that adjusts your course. And therefore, you're able to bring the kids along. You're able to bring the co-parents, in our case, along, where we don't have to be this toxic, dysfunctional situation that's really making for a bad scenario regarding your kids. You have something you want to add back?
And I think one thing that, when it comes to being able to shift and not lose direction is that people have to realize that it's a process to blend your family. It's like I stated earlier, it's not going to happen overnight, and you're going to go through phases. It's different phases. It's different levels of that process. It doesn't happen overnight. And, it starts with the two of you being a united front.
100%.
And, and that's where, like with you guys, with Married to the Ring, you focus on the covenant. If individuals truly understand what the covenant of marriage is, that's first and foremost. And this is a challenge we have with parents in general, not just blended parents, is that they let their children impede upon their marriage. And the truth of the matter is, when you enter into that covenant of marriage, your marriage is first.
100%.
And the truth of the matter, in logical terms, one day the kids are going to leave.
Yep, that's real talk.
And if you haven't focused on that marriage, solidified that marriage, you're going to be sitting there looking at a person that you don't have a relationship with because you've been running around trying to cater to your children and make sure they're okay, but the two of you aren't okay, because they're going to grow up and be adults and live their own life at some point. And so being able to honor the covenant, truly, that's the first step in being able to blend. Is being able to truly honor that and being able to set boundaries around that covenant. Yep.
Tanya, you got something you want to add?
And that's how, if we talk about Married to the Ring, because I stayed in constant prayer, God said, I want you. The ring is symbolic to your covenant relationship with Christ. A lot of people are like, what is the ring? It's marriage. No, the ring is you bringing back your full relationship into perspective with Christ, and he will show you and provide you with the tools on how to have an effective relationship. But he had to deal with me first. He had to show me how to transform myself so that I could be able to adapt. Because let me say something. I mean, Glenn, I felt like taking this and saying, listen, you want to drink with me right now? Because those 3 years, and I'm on this mission because this is really big for me. Those 3 years, every time we chose to opt out and be in two separate residences, cost us substantial money, right? It cost us, there are things that we could have been so far in advance on, but we couldn't because it was just like, well, you're over there, you do your self-sufficiency, I'm going to do my self-sufficiency plan. And as a result, we lost a lot of funding. It costs too much when you don't keep the direction ahead of you. And what I love most is when the Holy Spirit starts showing that to me through prayer and supplication, because I had leaders telling my husband, oh, she's schizo. Oh, she bipolar. Schizo, bipolar. I'm trying to figure this out.
She's not the one for you.
She's not the one for you. It's not that. I'm just like, listen, I thought the second marriage was going to be easier. And now I want to just jump ship. I don't even know if I really want to be in this. And so when we teach individuals, we focus in our organization on you, yourself first. And look what happens. When you do that and you spend quality time with the Lord and you become informed, he draws the resources to you. He knew, what is today? July, he knew in July 2019, right? He knew that July 2019, in November 2018, I was going to hear this guy, Glenn and Sheri. And I wanted to go through the phone and be like, where are you? Can I snatch you? Come on over here now, because I want you to rescue me, right? But he knew that there still was some development along the way, but he knew that this year was done. It was a done deal. Because You know why? Holidays are the hardest time.
Absolutely.
For blended families.
Absolutely.
It's the hardest time. So.
Right.
No, I get it. And that's one of the things I just wanted, it's just a great segue. So at the end of this year, you guys have invited us to come be a part of a retreat. It's a retreat that's really designed for couples, but particularly people who are blending their marriages, their families, to number one, get away and get some rest. Get your head right. Because at the end of the day, here's what I'm going to promise you. I can't tell you how many people I coach, and I said, no, you don't need a divorce. You need a vacation.
Right.
The problem is that you've never taken a break. We had a couple that went with us on a cruise that we did for our MAPS community and last year. And in 17 years of marriage, they had not been on one vacation. So it's not mind-boggling to think that they're going through changes. It's not mind-boggling to think that they're on the verge of quitting and giving up because they've never had an opportunity to hit the reset button. And that's one of the things that I'm super excited about. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the workshop experience, Tanya. You and I and Sheri, we all met because we were doing a live with a mutual friend, and you heard us talk and you were like, no, I need them people at our event. Like, I don't know who they are, but can you make that happen? Talking to the mutual friend. And we wind up working it out. But since then, you've actually asked us to step up and sort of take the point, in a sense, on this retreat and do several nights of just breaking down the dynamics of blending, how to do it properly, and how to heal as we move through that process. So talk to us about the other elements regarding the dates, the times. Where can people register? By the way, guys, we haven't been ignoring you on the chat. We apologize, but we've been just trying to really get there. We're going to have you guys back on because we're just trying to get y'all stories out so that we can kind of talk about the dynamics that not only you've lived through or are living through, but how we really can show up and help some other people.
Right. Well, what I love is I just want to say this to any entrepreneur or leadership or anyone leading an organization. I want to say this and say smart leaders already know how to identify when to fall back. Right? Smart leaders. I just want to say that. And see, and when you associate yourself with talent and there's still areas of opportunities that you need solutions developed for, you have to position yourself to listen, right? And receive, and then heal properly. And so November 18th through the 23rd, I had no issue passing the baton over to the group. Had no issue at all. Why? Because of the simple fact that these are resources, these are tools that I, myself, Gerald, we've already started our due diligence, right? But we're saying, why do we don't have to do this by ourselves. We can utilize individuals, leverage their expertise, and simplify things by learning from individuals that's already skilled in an area. So listen, I want to say, if you're a leader and you're occupying any space, if you are an individual or a couple, let me tell you, I wish we went through premarital counseling. And I understand that premarital counseling is very different for individuals who are married, who are in a traditional marriage. It is not the same. And this is what I've been trying to get leaders who are in the church to see. It's not the same. you have to have someone who has actually walked the experience. Those couples that's sharing value, those individuals that are married, that's bringing it together. I think it's very important that you need to be at the Outer Banks in North Carolina, the upcoming retreat that we have that's going to be on the beach in a 24-room mansion.
Yeah. I heard that, Gerald. I heard that. I heard that. The amenities in this place is off the chain.
Right. I'm so looking forward to it.
So what's so amazing about it is I was asked to speak at a marriage retreat a year ago,
Yes.
right, to marriages, and we had an amazing time. And I said, I don't know if I want to go back. I didn't believe in retreats yet because I was like, whoa, all the stuff I was going through. Every marriage, everybody wanted to do a vacation. I didn't even want to go on a vacation with this cat. You understand what I'm saying? The reality was, who wants to be on a vacation with you?
No, that's real talk. That's real talk. There's been plenty of times where she's had to send me ahead of the family. You need a vacation before we all come. Like, I need you to get your mind right, and we'll be there 3 days later. I ain't fooling with you, brother.
And then we had this talk, right? Now y'all married couples, y'all know, right? Like, it's like this. You are not show up. You are not, when you get your you know how you got that talk? You better not invest.
You know that look. You know that look you give them when they
right. Absolutely. That's side out,
not
brother.
let them know that it's happening.
Right, absolutely.
You better talk underneath your tongue.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Or you will never come out. I will leave you in a cage forever. So anyways, November 18th to the 23rd, we're going to be in Outer Banks, North Carolina at a 24-room mansion, the Black Stallion. We're looking to have 24 amazing couples come together. And really, the workshops are going to be phenomenal. We do have co-speakers from Atlanta, Georgia that's coming in, and also with the Brooks and as well as ourselves. We're going to have that boxing ring experience for some of those couples, because we know that once you see how this really happens in the transformation, my husband literally looked at wives from a totally different perspective. Since I launched Married to the Ring, we have not left the residence. He might leave for a second, but then he'll be like, yo, I got to get back. Because he understands what's happened, right? Because my husband had the running man cycle. Y'all know what that is?
I'm out.
You gotta go. Like, I'm like, yo, you just don't walk out.
Deuces. Yeah.
Who does that? You know, like, I'm like, my dad didn't teach me that.
You know, look, I can do bad by myself.
Bro, let me tell you something. Listen, that is a fundamental flaw in so many men in our culture, that we've learned that. That's actually a behavior that we have learned.
Our behavior.
It's not something that we may necessarily be proud of, but it's easier to just dip. And then here's the other part, Tanya. A lot of times you got cats that will dip and they ain't gone nowhere physically, but they gone. Right. And so that's the whole other thing. And so I'm excited about this opportunity, guys, that we have to come and to be a part of this. Guys, do me a favor. If you're listening to, maybe you just jumped in by way of replay. We're talking to Gerald and Tanya Williamson of Married to the Ring. We're super excited about the power of covenant. Yes. It is a retreat that we're doing at the end of 2019.
Right, November 18th through the 23rd. It's going to be in the Outer Banks, and it's the Power of Covenant Retreat for Couples and Blended Marriages. Please go to the website. You can go to www.marriedtothering.com/covenant to get more information, or you can go to the crcoach.com and also link over to that registration page where you can get more information. I'm really excited. Yeah. I'm looking forward to this event.
Guys,
thank you guys.
Registration is limited. Yes, I'm telling you right now. Yeah. There's only a few spaces. When you guys came to us, you were already over half full. Right. And so I just want everybody to know that, look, listen, we want to close the door on this. And here's what I will guarantee you. I will guarantee you that you will walk away from this retreat with great clarity on what your next steps should look like. And I will also guarantee that you will leave equipped. Yes. Equipped with the tools that should you decide that you're going to put in the work, you can absolutely navigate your blended family. Sheri and I boast about something that's taken us 20 years to build. And it's not an accident that we were able to go on a cruise with our co-parents earlier this year, and it wasn't set up that we were supposed to go, just the four of us, but because of some circumstances and some other people who were supposed to go backed out, it wound up being us. And I never will forget when they basically made the call that regardless, if y'all going, we going. And that was their sentiment. And these are our co-parents. And I'm going to promise you, when we get to this retreat, you're going to hear the stories behind that. That wasn't easy to pull off.
Right.
And what we didn't start off that way. We had a very toxic relationship, primarily because of my ignorance and my inability to make adjustments in my first marriage. And so it paid huge dividends on the end. But I'm grateful that we were able to work it out. And again, guys, we're going to teach and train you guys how we did that. Sheri has 2 marriages prior to me. We have great relationships with her exes, and it's just something that we have decided that we were going to do and we were going to build. And quite frankly,
the children did not cause a mutiny.
No, they did not. They did. We didn't have the look. The kids did not divide and conquer. Right. That didn't happen.
They tried.
They tried, but that didn't happen. So we were able to figure that out. And we want to teach and train you guys how we've done that.
Right.
We're going to be bringing out books. We wrote a book together called From Broken to Family to Blended. Many people don't recognize, guys, and I just want y'all to hear this in closing, that 2 people who are broken and come together flawed, they decided to say I do in one way, shape, form, or another. They form a family. The question is, how do you go from there to blended?
Right.
That in of itself is a process that not everyone makes it to. So just because you are a family of different people don't mean you are blending and you're not doing that successfully. So we're going to teach and train people on tips and strategies, and it's going to be highly interactive. You're definitely going to get a chance to relax. We are not going to be up in there teaching all day long. I promise you. You might get 2 hours a day of some teaching, and that's it. And we're gonna go enjoy ourselves, close ourselves. And if we wasn't in our 50s, we'd be up in that joint making some babies. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to tell you, I'm trying. We ain't doing no more babies. So at this point, but I'm just keeping it all the way real, guys. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna unplug. We're gonna get to know each other. We're gonna get to spend time. And I'm super excited. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you for this opportunity. And I'm looking forward to more and more chances that we'll get together, have you back on Breakfast with the Brookses. And we're going to talk about some dynamics, things that people can expect.
Right. And once again, if you're new to our channel, please do subscribe and make sure you ring the bell so you get notifications when we go live or when we post new videos. And once again, thank you, Gerald and Tanya, for joining us today.
Thank
We're
you.
looking forward to this event in November.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And as we always say at the end of
the end of the show, listen, guys, you can't get to any place of significance by yourself. At the end of the day, we all need some help. Y'all be good.
Have a great day.
We'll talk soon.
Thank you.